And we're live. Welcome to the RG DFS Tournament Takes Podcast Week 16 edition. I am your host, Chris Kirkwood, screen name Kurt D's, here with the crew, the squad, at Bobby Gomes DFS. Bobby Gomes, one of the original one of the OG Millie Maker winners, high stakes player. Also JSU Rab, 100K banker probably every other week, is it? Every 3 weeks, something like that. But another high stakes crusher. We're back to talk about week 16, and I'm in a good mood. I smashed last week, so I did well. So I'm feeling that high all week, and hopefully I can keep it going. But how'd you guys make out?
I had a good week too last week for someone who was late on the slate, but yeah, I ended up having a good week. I had a lot of Russell Gage after Julio was ruled out, so that worked out. He had 25. Played Brady. Brady finally, he didn't get there, but the connection with Gage kind of got me there. So I don't know. It worked. It was a good week. How about you, JSU?
I pretty much had I had a really good week, even though my two main quarterbacks were Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence was, obviously a slate winner. If you play Trevor Lawrence, especially if you play Trevor Lawrence with Zay Jones and literally anyone else, you were, probably winning a lot of money. And I luckily did have some good Trevor Lawrence teams. Was close in the $200 single entry on DraftKings. Very, very close, actually. It came I forget where my team entered. I know I was like fifth. Had a chance late. I forget who exactly I needed, but I think I ended up like 13th, but still pretty good, week end overall. Herbert didn't get it done, but yeah, Trevor Lawrence got me there. And I had some good calls. I had some really good calls in the player pools on the Up the Lock show. I think I talked about some of these plays too, but I was way overweight on the Detroit Lions defense. They outscored the chalky Denver defense. I had them on my main team on FanDuel, DraftKings. I just had them everywhere, and they smashed. And then the other guy was just I pretty much almost locked in all my teams was Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans, 3,200. And he caught that bomb early. I was super overweight on him. I think I talked about him on this show. Talked about him on literally every show I did. Kid's a stud. Kid's a deep threat. They're lucky to man. We if you played him, you ran bad because they got up and then all they did was run the football, and Atlanta's offense was terrible in the first three quarters, really. And then all they did was run the football, so it kind of didn't force New Orleans to have to pass once they got up. So we were kind of lucky to get that. Thank God we got that early touchdown. But man, if they were playing from behind, he probably would have smashed even harder. He got 18, but it was a good week overall. Had some good calls. I was pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I first off, Yahoo I smashed. That's where I had a lot of money in play. Because these projection slates, man, I knew they were all and granted it worked out kind of for them, but Latavius Murray was chalk, and I'm like, there's no way I'm playing Latavius Murray. So all I had to do was slide down on a defense a little bit, and I played David Montgomery, who's my boy. As you guys know, I play this guy. I'm always on this guy, and I knew no one would have him whatsoever, and I just had to drop. I had to drop that. It was either going to be. I thought the chalk players were going to be Juju or Chris Moore, and so I just took Zay Jones. And I was the only one with Zay, so I had Zay. That's all I needed. And I also played Zay on DraftKings, but I went down with you. I mean, I min cashed pretty much everything in my main lineup. I snuck in the 4-4-4-4, but I had Herbert, Mike Will. I had a Herbert double stack, like I said on the show. I would do. It was going to be Herbert, Mike Williams, and Allen. I ran it back with Okongo and Derrick Henry, but I did have Zay Jones in there, so snuck in there. So we'll take it.
I mean, Kirkwood, the other donkey chalk that was just terrible. And I know he got hurt, I think in the third quarter. I can't remember exactly when, but Zonovan Knight was 20-something% in all these contests. He
Kamara
was a terrible play. Like, I do a player pool where I list my favorite plays at each position, like a player pool. So I list like 5 or 6 dudes at each position outside of quarterback. I list like 3 or 4. I mean, this dude wasn't even in the ballpark for me. Like, I didn't even think about him. And then everyone's asking me questions about him on Sunday morning.
It was just,
and
it
I'm
was
like,
just
what
cheap.
world are we in right now? He just because he's priced at 5,300.
Yeah, it was
defense has been good. What are we talking about right now?
because they wanted someone to make it. They wanted someone to make their lineup. So I'm sure they probably kept asking you Zonovan or Latavius Murray.
Yeah, imagine Jerick McKinnon was priced right with them. Like, think about that too. Like Jerick McKinnon and GPP,
and people still rather play Pacheco.
It's just McKinnon. We just got to stop playing Pacheco.
No, so this is what it is. Is they're a passing offense? Period.
It's always
so you got to take the. There's never been a running back since. Who was the guy who like broke every slate ever? Like the greatest of like all. Who was like
Jamal
Charles. Like they haven't had a running back since Jamal Charles.
Yeah, Jamal Charles was great.
Anyways, I hear you. Herbert, Kamara was tilting, so that's why I decided to just like I played Kamara and Henry, but I used the wide receiver in the flex to get done what I needed. But Kamara almost broke at the last play of the game. Did you see that? Like where he got tackled from behind.
Hey, you got the touches at least with Kamara. You didn't get the passing work, but that was because of the way the game was. You got at least the rushing attempts. Right.
Yeah, and
he seemed like the tougher chalk going into the slate on the higher end at running back. Like if there were paths for him failing more than I feel like the others.
Well, I mean, we talk about like, is this guy injured? Like, is this, like what? There was definitely like usage concerns, but Anyway, and I almost played Rashid over. I was debating Rashid and Chris Moore, and I wanted to play Rashid so bad, but I like just felt more comfortable with Moore. And then that first play at Rashid, I was like, oh my god,
it's just it's tough, man. It's tough to click that name when you don't know, but man,
he's good,
man. Such a good tournament play. No one was on him. I swear nobody talked about that dude. Literally no one. I swear no one watches football anymore. Like that dude, every time I watched him for the last like 5 weeks, he just always seems to be like making plays or chance to break stuff. Like it's insane as Evan Ingram just runs. Yeah, Kirkwood, he's so good right now.
Evan Ingram, he's ridiculous. He's just the best in the league now. All of a sudden. Dude. He's like Zay Jones. Like nobody wants to play. Like everyone like feels like they're chasing every week.
Yeah, he's good, man.
Yeah, I'm dead on this slate. But the Thursday night game. We're recording this Thursday now. We're only going to be talking about the main slate on Saturday. There is a nice little 3-gamer on Sunday for Christmas. Wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas. Hopefully we make some money on Saturday and then can live it up on Christmas. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate.
Yeah, politically correct, Kirkwood. Happy holidays to everybody.
Yep. All right, week 16. So obviously we have no Jets Jags right now. We've got no Broncos Rams. Who cares? These are the 3 games on Sunday. We got no Packers Dolphins. We've got no Bucks Cards. Bobby cannot go down with Tom Brady on this slate. We do have it. This is a crazy slate, actually. So we have like a top tier of 3 games as usual. And it's basically because of weather, right? Like weather is horrible across the entire U.S. here. And so like any team in a dome is going to get a big uptick. But there's a ton of wind, rain, snow, freezing cold temperatures. The whole gamut is coming off this weekend. So Seattle KC is the top game from a total perspective of 49.5 points. KC's 10-point favorites. Tyler Lockett's out of this game. So a pretty concentrated passing attack with a little bit of value on the Seattle side. And then KC, we'll talk about what to do with them. We then have the Vikings home favorite, 4 points against the Giants, 48-point total. Well, we've just seen what happened. Vikings defense is so bad that this offense is just gonna have to put up points. They're gonna be pushed every game, right? It seems like with this D, they just had the biggest comeback in like I don't know, is it like of all history? I don't know, but massive comeback on that slate when Kirk Cousins brought him back over the Colts. And then we have Dallas, and they're looking pretty bad. Dak is playing pretty poorly. 4.5 point favorites against Philly, who doesn't have Jalen Hurts. We get Gardner Minshew back with in our lives, so he's the cheap play we'll talk about. And 46.5 point total. And then there's like a tier 2 of just 2 games. Detroit at Carolina, 43.5 point total. And I can't believe tier 2 includes this game, which is Cincy at New England in some weather with a 41.5 point total. And I say that in this tiers because the tier 3 is a bunch of games that are all below 40 points, going down to as low as 33, I think the last time I saw it. Let me see. 32.5 point total in for the Saints at the Browns in Cleveland. Crazy, huh? So, yeah, that's our slate. The pricing, like lineup construction wise, I don't know if this is a good GPP slate. Like, it feels like it's a good GPP slate, but is it? I don't know. It feels crazy because it's like, so we have one like super cheap option at quarterback. We have one really expensive option at quarterback. Both are in play with Minshew at 4,800 and Patrick Mahomes at 8,400. And we have a bunch of decent plays. Like a guy like Josh Allen, no one's even like touch because of that weather, and like that's crazy to me. But then we have like running back. We've got really good high end plays, but none of that like 5K value that we've been on throughout the season. Although maybe we go back to DeAndre Swift. I don't know, maybe. But so I mean, we have good high ends with like CMC, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Saquon, Ramondre, and then we've got decent mid tier with like Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker, Jerick McKinnon, and so on and so forth. So there's a bunch of options. Then there's some really high priced wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, and there's like kind of a stacked mid range. I don't know. So I'm just trying to think like how are we building lineups here? Like what stands out to you guys? JSU, I'll let you start first.
Yeah, so just, like you said, kind of eyeballing this here. I would say the first thing that stands out outside of the weather, because that's all you're going to hear about the whole time, is there's tons of these games that are going to have weather. So winds, it's going to be cold like almost everywhere. That's fine. These players can play in the cold. As long as the winds aren't like egregious, I'm not going to throw too much merit on just it being really cold. I will say Chicago's field, when it starts to like get gross and stuff like that, it can get bad. But New Orleans, Cleveland definitely looks like the worst situation just in general. I don't know how you don't play Derrick Henry. I think he's by far the best spend up. Him and then Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, they have to be the 2 best spend ups on the slate. Your choice on who you want to play. But other than that, I'm not getting, crazy into the weather outside of that New Orleans Cleveland game. Like all these other games, I'm just going to look at it like a normal slate. I'm not going to put too much into the cold and stuff unless the winds just really pick up or something. So, I think this Philly-Dallas game is really interesting to me, especially actually without Jalen Hurts. You're going to have Gardner Minshew start. And if Dallas can get a lead on Philly, which I do think they can at home, I think this is one of the more interesting spots because Gardner Minshew, he will make some mistakes, but that man will take chances too. And I want my quarterback taking chances, especially if they get down. And this Dallas defense, man, they're super talented, but one of the reasons I like Trevor Lawrence last week, they take chances and they give up big plays. Gardner Minshew can make some plays. They can make some big plays, especially when you got guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. So I'm interested to see what type of ownership this game gets in general, if people just kind of are scared away from Gardner Minshew, if people just think, oh, this game's the nuts and I want to load up on everything. right now it looks like he's going to get some ownership, like 10, 12%. But at 4,800, I kind of think that's kind of low, honestly.
And the nice thing about the game is that you don't you have to play Hurts regardless, because he was rushing, doing what he did last week, whatever. He's always a threat to rush a bunch of touchdowns in. And at least now you don't really have to worry about that so much. You're going to be able to make a better stack, feel more comfortable, and a double stack. I'm talking more, because Hurts could really.
It's easy too, right? You play Goddard's back, so you got the two wide receivers. You could throw Quez in if you're playing Millie Maker formats, but you got the two wide receivers and you got the tight end. Boom, simple enough.
I feel like in higher stakes stuff, Minshew is going to be significantly owned, right? The weather's as bad as it is, and then it's the only real dome game on the slate, pretty much. So I don't know. I don't mind Minshew at 4,800 just because the stack's super easy. But I'm just saying, it seems like the ownership will get steamed up as the week kind of progresses.
So would you prefer Dak? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'd still play Minshew, but what I'm saying is, if you think I don't think the ownership's going to come in as low as we think. But are we really ever worried about quarterback ownership?
Not
anyway?
Really.
Yeah.
Not really.
No, and that's the thing. And there's for everybody that's going to play him in higher, so there's going to be other people saying how they're definitely going to fade him because of all these other elite options. There are like Patrick Mahomes. The game that's picking up a lot of steam is the Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, because that's a dome as well.
Yeah.
So, and it's fresh in everybody's head about Minnesota, what their defense was doing.
Which I think, honestly, I don't want Kirk Cousins. I love Justin Jefferson, but I'm not playing Kirk Cousins off that game.
I don't want Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the one that
and the Giants would like nothing more than to just run it and have a slow, nice game. I don't think they will be able to. I think Minnesota gets up, and then I think the Giants have to throw. The problem is, I don't know if it's going to be like a shootout. You know what I mean? I'd actually like it the other way. If I thought the Giants could get up on Minnesota, I'd like Kirk Cousins more. I even if the Giants are up, I don't think it's up by a large enough margin where Kirk Cousins has to go in hurry up crazy mode like he did last week. You know what I mean? That was the extreme what we saw. Getting down 33 is insane at halftime. That you won't see. Who knows if you'll ever see that again? That was insane. You'll like this. Kirky shipped a Rainmaker because of it on that 3-game slate. I had Cousins to Dalvin to JJ with
KJ?
No, not KJ. I had KJ. I had 2 lineups in the elite, and I had KJ in the other lineup. I very well could have had KJ, but I didn't have the balls to do a 4-man stack, 4 out of 5. And then I brought it. Funny? I did it with Waddle. I had Waddle as the last one.
So I ran in the Millie Maker. I ran like 50 lineups in that 20 or whatever it was. And I was all in on Kirk Cousins. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to run a ton of Kirk stacks. And Saber was giving me, we partnered with Saber over at Run Pure Sports. Saber was giving me a bunch of 4 Vikings and no run backs. And I'm just like, I can't play KJ, Cook, Thielen, JJ. I can't play 4 of these guys and not one Colts guy. So, of course, like a donkey, I X those teams out and played the 4-1s and stuff. And then looking back, I know Pittman was on a lot of the winners.
No, but Pittman was fine. He was
he was fine. But I'm just saying, in my head,
I was him.
There's no way this could work. Well, there was a way it could have easily
optimal if you just played if you had the Colts defense against as your
that's the thing. I don't think I had the Colts defense on those, so that's why I was like, okay, it's not. I didn't X out $1 million, so I was like, okay. But in the end, though, it's more just on those type of slates, you should just, if you're running the opto, one key, you probably should just trust it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hear you. That was just a crazy outlier outcome.
You might never see that again, ever. That was insane.
Something you touched on, though, that is a kind of something I've been thinking about for this slate is I think this is going to be a low scoring week. I mean, obviously, like most of these games have incredibly low totals. So like I'm almost thinking like I don't need to have bringbacks this week. If there's a situation where I just want to play like a skinny stack and then try to like pick like the individual plays outside of it, maybe mini correlations, but I don't even think you have to. Like I'm fine with that this week. You know what I mean? Like it's like just nail the one really strong connection, maybe one bringback, but like don't feel like you have to. Yeah. So all right.
I agree.
All right. Blitz most plays. That's these and I always cross check that with Thorman snaps and pace. They're all the three same games. So this is where like ownership's going to be in these games, and that's Philly, Dallas, Seattle, KC, and New York Giants at Minnesota. So that's going to be where all our ownership is. It's going to be interesting if we can find some ways to make that a little bit different. But what do you want to do? You want to give some thoughts, Bobby, or do you want to start it off at running back?
Oh, we could start off at running back.
All right, we'll start it off at running back, take it back to QB for our stacks with the wide receiver, tight end. Bobby's got his defense. He's all excited to give out this week. And I think we gave Detroit defense last week, and that was good. They had a pick six.
Yeah, we gave Detroit D. I feel like we were all pretty much on them, right? So that's 2 weeks in a row. Cleveland and then the Lions.
We're not going to throw the challenge tag or anything. I don't remember which one of you guys said Detroit D first, but the key is that we all liked it. And let's move on.
This is some bullshit. Bobby knows which one of us said Detroit.
I don't recall.
Bob, don't you dare lie to the people that are listening to this show. Who called the Detroit Lions D? Don't make me say it.
I think it was.
I know who called it.
Did I call that? Did I call it?
I think I called it.
Gee, you guys are such bullshitters. I called that friggin' D. No one was on the Detroit Lions D. But this is the best part. Kirkwood, I'm on the Up the Lock show that we run over there from 11:30 to 1. Bobby texted me like during it, and he's like, "Hey, what defenses are you on?" Just like text me like, "What do you?" I'm like.
Oh no!
Dude, I literally gave my favorite defense on the Tourney Takes pod, and then you copied me and gave it out as well. And then Kirkwood was like, "Screw it, let's just ride with the Detroit Lions D or whatever you said."
And you got the receipt. And he sent you a text so you could show the receipt for that too.
Yeah, I asked him what 5 defenses he was using in MME. I didn't specifically ask for the Lions,
but you knew my favorite defense.
I knew you liked the Lions. Yeah. We all like the Lions.
Who was my Lions were 1. I think I had Denver like 3. I can't remember who my other defenses were, but all that mattered was I had the Patriots in there. That was the defense you gave Kirkwood. It was the Patriots.
Oh, dude, that game was crazy. What a play at the end of the game. Unreal.
Yeah, that's another thing you might never see again.
Oh my God. All right, running back position. We've got the chalkiest players going to be are also the most expensive right now because we have some really good running backs in some really good spots. So Christian McCaffrey is leading the way at 8,800. He's playing Washington. Now, Washington's a pretty good run defense. They're 4th in DVOA against the run. They're a little bit more susceptible to be had in the past. But it's all about usage with this guy. The usage has been insane. He's had at least 28 fantasy points in each of his last 3 games, 26 rushes plus 8 targets just in his last game versus the Seahawks. I mean, like I said, it's just insane usage. He's got really no competition since Elijah Mitchell went down. And over the last 3 games, 80% of the team's red zone carries, 24% target share, which is absolutely elite. Whenever you see north of 20% target share on a running back, it's like, yep, let's go. I mean, that's how you rack up those PPR points on DraftKings. So that's absolutely elite. Washington has been a little bit worse lately in this like last 4 or 5 games, letting up explosive run plays. So he's a great play. I got nothing wrong to say about him. They're at home. Favored. Yeah, let's go. Derrick Henry, Again, came through for us last week. Took a little bit to get there, but came through. Unfortunately, Herbert. What is the deal with her? Like he gets me every time. Like it's like it takes him until like the last drive of the fourth quarter to like show like what he can do. You know what I mean? It's like if they just played hurry up like that, like all game with all their weapons and just utilized his weapons, he would smash. I don't get it. It's mind blowing. I think Staley is a fish coach.
Well, we all thought they were going to attack the Tennessee Titans through the air because we all saw they just been getting killed through the air, and they're stout normally against the run. And what does Staley do? Nope, we're going to establish it right up the middle.
He's such a fake guard. It's ridiculous.
So, I mean, that was one of the things. And then once they got up, it was just like, Tennessee put up a little bit, but it was just a weird game. And Herbert, he's gotten me all year. I gotta just put the X button on Justin Herbert for a little bit.
So Derrick Henry this time gets the matchup of all matchups against Houston, who, man, has been fighting hard these last couple games. But this 24th DVOA versus the run, Houston. The Texans allow the most fantasy points per game to running backs, 31.6 DK points per game. They've allowed the most rushing TDs, and that's the highest by 3 touchdowns. They've allowed 17 touchdowns on the season. They've allowed the most total rushing yards. So they are the best matchup. Everyone's spitting off these Derrick Henry BVP stats left and right about how he smashes the Texans, and he does. Since 2019, he's averaged 32 fantasy points and 195 rushing yards averaged, and that's in a 5-game sample versus Houston. Houston also second most yards after contact allowed, plus the most missed tackles allowed. Just sounds like what does Derrick Henry do? Well, he gets yards after contact, and you can't tackle that guy, and he creates a ton of missed tackles. So this just lines up perfectly. Unless he gets hurt or something, I don't see how he just doesn't smash. But who knows? It's the NFL. Crazy stuff happens.
You guys remember this game the last time they played, right? You guys remember the game?
Not really.
I'll give you a quick flashback to it. This was the game that Malik Willis, I think it was Malik Willis's first game starting, and they went out there and gave Derrick Henry 32 rushing attempts, and Malik Willis threw the ball 10 times. 10 total passing attempts for a starting QB. Think about that. 10 times. And they just ran the ball almost every single play.
I remember Vrabel gave him the game ball.
Houston knew, they knew what was happening, and they still just couldn't stop it. It was incredible what they just kept doing to him. We're going to see it again. We're going to see Derrick Henry get 25 to 30 rushing attempts.
Yeah, he got 32 rushing attempts in that. 32 rushing attempts in that game.
Yeah, you'll see it again. You'll see friggin' 25 to 30 again. Yeah.
And last year at the end of the season, week 17 against Houston, he had 34 rushing attempts and 250 yards and 2 TDs.
And this is a big game because Jacksonville's about to win this game against the Jets. And that would technically put them kind of tied record-wise. So Tennessee needs to, stay up. They're right now in the playoffs. They're winning the division, I think. But Jacksonville's nipping at them, so this is a big game. They need to win.
So how do we rank CMC and Henry? What would be?
I think I put it Henry, CMC, but they're both really good spends. I think
it's the other way around. I like CMC.
Okay.
Henry. 89% of the snaps for CMC. Kirky hit on it, 28 fantasy points last 4 games.
Well, I think from a touch standpoint, you can't argue either of these guys.
Yeah, 24%.
You literally can't argue.
That's absolutely incredible. I think you can fit both these guys in your lineups just the way it kind of looks like that's kind of how construction's going to go in tournaments.
That's that's what's being spit out in optimals right now.
So I don't know. I think it differentiates. I feel like we have to get different other spots, but they're definitely the 2 running backs I would have the most interest in. Do we like Dalvin Cook at all?
Yeah, so he's the next guy. I've got written down. So yes, I do. I mean, first of all, he went ham in that last game. He looked to be back. New York Giants is as good as a matchup you can get. 31st DVOA versus the run. He just had the 28 fantasy point game against the Colts. 17 rushes, 4 targets. Giants along the third most rushing yards. 6 weeks, 10. They have been dead last in explosive runs. So yeah, let's go.
The one thing with Cook is last week he had a 68-yard touchdown run, and he wasn't over. It was like the fourth quarter, and he was over. He was at like 84 rushing yards. So he was basically just getting like, I don't know.
He came from the dead, and Kirky's Rainmaker came from the dead. His lineup, and it was a beautiful thing.
So I did like Dalvin earlier in the week. The only thing that's scaring me a little is I don't like Dalvin if he's going to be like over 20%. Like that seems a little much for Dalvin Cook. Like I agree it's a good matchup. I liked him. I thought it was a good spot, but man,
I feel like he's a super
Bobby
easy
said,
fade
should I just like find the money to get CMC and Henry in my builds? Like I don't know, maybe. And then Justin Jefferson. Do I play them both? Probably not in the same team. So I'm probably picking one. Yeah. So, man, I know the pricing's different. Obviously, you're talking 93 to 72, but it's tough. I will say it's tough. I don't know how much Dalvin I'll have. I want to see how the ownership definitely shakes out. But to me, right now, if Dalvin and Justin Jefferson are going to be similar ownership, I don't know how I don't just go Justin Jefferson.
I'm with you. You can definitely get a JJ. He's leveraged off of Dalvin. 20% for Dalvin. I don't know, man. Seems like the easiest fade at the running back position in that situation.
Oh, I disagree. I see if you just look at the matchup
and like Saquon,
the playoff implications for this game. I know we were talking about before the show. It just feel like they could just lean on Dalvin in this game. Unless they get behind,
Jefferson.
If they get behind, like it's JJ all day.
I think Dalvin's like getting dusty.
Oh no, you missed some good plays then last week.
It was the end of the game. He had a 68-yard run. Then I looked at what his yardage was.
He had a massive reception.
84 yards.
Yeah, he looked great.
On the ground.
Phenomenal.
The touchdown was on a reception.
Oh, was it on the reception?
Yeah, it was on the reception.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I watched that game. He looked good to me.
Yeah, he was okay. He was okay.
Kirky.
Uh-oh. Kirky frozen? We got Kirky's face frozen.
I can hear you guys. I'm frozen. There we go.
Your face is frozen.
It's nice.
Saquon, 7,900.
Give a little wave, Kirkwood. Give a little wave.
I hope everybody enjoyed that and enjoys it. Saquon's there. Saquon's there on the other side of that game. And then there's Ramondre.
I love Ramondre. I've gotten away with fading Saquon all year. I'm going to continue to likely fade Saquon, even though that might not be with how bad this Minnesota defense is. And if people are actually going to play Daniel Jones, you might want to get to some Saquon. But at 7,900, I feel like I'd just like to pay up to Henry, get to McCaffrey if I could. Maybe contrarian wise, like that's a way to be different is to play some Saquon because I think those guys are going to gain a ton more ownership. But I don't know. I don't feel like I love Saquon. I think I'd rather play Ramondre, 7,100. Ramondre gets all the touches in the New England offense. I don't mind going to him.
Well, we said on the show. We said on the show, should we just jam Ramondre in everywhere last week because no one wanted to play him?
Yeah,
we should.
He's Q tagged. What's the situation with
It's the same
nothing,
thing,
right? It's the same thing.
Yeah. It's just whether Harris comes back or not.
Yeah.
And how much usage he steals.
Yeah, I feel like
you didn't have to worry about Harris last week, but
yeah, Ramondre at 7,100, I'd be interested in getting to.
I'm okay not getting any of these guys outside of the top two. So But
I think
if
that's
what it
I think
comes
that's
to,
I'm with you in that.
that's what it
how
comes to. That's what it
construction's
comes to. Like, I'll just run down the list after those guys, though. Like Tony Pollard at 7K, no. Joe Mixon, 6,900. Kamara. Oh God, it's one of the best matchups in all of football. Like this Cleveland and Houston.
Yeah, but nasty weather.
Going to be
The
really
weather
bad.
is just gross. It's just scaring me away.
Stacked boxes.
Yeah, I'm not going to play David Montgomery, Kirkwood's boy. I'll leave him to Kirkwood.
Now that's a mistake. Now that's a big mistake right there.
Kenneth
Khalil's
Walker, he's injured. I don't know what the heck. They're saying he's going to play on Saturday, but he didn't practice Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, I think. So
I think he had a limited today. Let me see.
Oh, did he? I thought he didn't practice today.
I think I read that
Chiefs have been good against the runs.
Let me pull it up.
I'm fine with it anyways because I like Geno a little bit more anyways. So probably not on him. Miles Sanders and Elliott. I'm not playing Elliott with Tony Pollard and him truly just like splitting those carries and stuff like that. I just can't play either of them right now. You know, Elliott's still getting 15, 16, 17 type, rushing attempts. But Tony Pollard's being worked in a ton too. You know what I mean? He's getting between 10 and I think he had 19 against Jacksonville. So they're running the ball a ton. But I'm staying away from the Dallas backfield. Jarrett McKinnon, I'm sick of liking this guy, but not playing him because I think that it's Pacheco could bust out this week and steal from McKinnon. I just got to start playing McKinnon. He's a good play. They want him in there. I'm going to play some. J.K. Dobbins, I don't mind. He's still not healthy, though, which is weird. But an unhealthy J.K. Dobbins has, on 15 and 13 rushing attempts, ran for over 120 and 125 yards the last 2 weeks. So 5,800 against Atlanta at home. I could take a shot on J.K. Dobbins for sure. And, that's Tyler Algier. I don't know about Tyler Algier. I'm not going to probably play
Did
him.
you mention Miles Sanders?
I did not mention Miles Sanders. I think if I don't play Gardner Minshew, I could play some Miles Sanders, but I don't. I think I'm going to play some Gardner Minshew. So I'll let you talk about him.
It's just so he's got like the coach speak behind him, how they didn't like feed him at all. He also got completely vultured by Jalen Hurts, which he doesn't have to worry about.
Yeah.
And so like this is it just in Dallas is, good D for sure, but like they're definitely getting injured and withered down. And we've seen how they've been playing. So
I got a question, Kirkwood. Do you think they play from a lead, Philly?
I don't really know. I don't know what I don't know which.
I just
want to play it all ways.
You should like Miles Sanders, Bob.
I like Sanders. I think he's a good leverage play off of Minshew. Especially like you hit on it, Kirky. Hurts is what's killing Sanders. Sanders looks good, so at 6,200, I would have no issue getting to him. There's another guy down.
Put him in the pool.
There's another guy down there, Deontay Foreman versus Detroit. Everyone wanted to play Knight versus Detroit, the Jets running back last week as chalk. Detroit's run D hadn't been good all season, but the last 5 or 6 games they've kind of stepped it up. I think that if everyone was willing to play him, I know Detroit's run D has been better, and they're showing they've been really good, but I still think you can play some for him in a 5,300. You're not there, JSU?
No, I don't like this Detroit defense is legit, man. They've been good. Aiden Hutchinson looks like a beast. He's been better against the run too. And they were worried about him against the run too coming in.
I'm playing
he was
some
just
Foreman.
solely a pass rusher. I would not touch some Foreman here. I definitely don't like Foreman.
You need some savings though, right? Like, where else are you getting savings? You're just playing Henry.
We've only talked I didn't say only. I gave out, first of all, I'm a very condensed player. I gave out J.K. Dobbins, Jerick McKinnon, and you guys talked me into a little Miles Sanders maybe if I don't play Minshew.
That's 5 running
backs. That's
I want
5
everybody
running backs right there, Bob. How many running backs do you want me to play?
That's true. 5 or 6.
Yeah.
You can add Foreman.
I want to make sure that people. I want to make sure that people thank JSU, and maybe even Bobby a little bit for putting Dario Ngumbawale in their lineups.
Oh God. Yeah, you could thank me for it.
I'll give that one to JSU. He was on Dare, but he
You
also
can
got
give
me
it
on
to me.
Rashid.
I'll
And
take the Dario.
maybe the Lions D. He might have got me on the Lions D.
Oh,
All
so
right.
now that someone brings up Dare, now Bobby will finally admit that I was on the Lions D and Rashid Shaheed, Trevor Lawrence. Yep. Keep going. Keep listing them. But yes, I did get Dare.
Malcolm Brogdon the other night in
Hey,
NBA.
Dare was the
good
reason
call.
why I didn't ship everything because I played him on all my main teams. So trust me, I am as upset as anyone else who played him. But what are you gonna
Crazy
do?
run out. The way that game ran out too is crazy.
It was weird. Like he started and he was the early down running back, but like they didn't give him any pass work. And then Royce Freeman started taking some work away from him later in the game. It was just weird. Like
I know. I didn't even realize Royce was on the team until.
Yeah, it was weird how it ran out. But
All right. So I think that's a good pool of running backs. But what we got, so now we're heading over to QB. But what we should probably touch on quickly is just like, and I say this every time that this is a thing, like, I'm so sick of weather. Like, I never get weather right ever. And like, I always wait it too much. And I always get a little too scared right before with these guys. And then they end up smashing. And I took them out of my lineup, and I want to like be stronger. But we should at least touch on which games are going to have the worst weather. So, Houston, Tennessee is supposed to be cold. This is all via Kevin Roth, and you should look that up on RotoGrinders if you're not getting his weather report. But 20 degrees with light winds, no precipitation. So, it's winter football. It's doesn't seem too bad though. The game that's supposed to be really bad is the New Orleans Cleveland. Snow pregame or early game, temps in the teens. Those are the least of the concerns. We're talking 25 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds, wind gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour. Deep passes and field goals are going to be very, very difficult. So that's, that's concerning. Buffalo, Chicago is going to be bad too. A lot of wind in that game. Sustained winds around 20 mile per hour, gusts at 35. And it's going to be extremely cold, and it's going to feel extremely cold. And then from there, he kind of did his baseball rankings. He's got a bunch of yellow for the other games, and that's more for cold. So I don't think there's any really – those are – the key games are New Orleans, Cleveland looks the worst. Buffalo, Chicago is the other really bad one. And then the other stuff is just, it's winter football. But are you guys – I don't really care about this New Orleans Cleveland game anyway. So it's no skin off my back is the way I feel. Like I can avoid that one pretty easily. Buffalo, Chicago is kind of interesting because we're talking about quarterbacks and we'll talk about the highest owned plays, but Josh Allen is going to have low ownership this week. Weather related in Chicago, great matchup. So it's, everyone's going to want Mahomes, who's going to pay up. So it's just going to leave like 85, like people are just not going to get a bunch of Josh Allen. So obviously I'm interested in Josh Allen. But other than that, it's going to be Kirk Cousins. Everyone's going to be playing because, it's in the dome against the Giants. Daniel Jones is going to be chalky. Mahomes is kind of like that high-end guy. He's not going to be too chalky, but again, we don't really care about ownership for quarterback as long as it's not too high, and I don't think we're in that position. Mahomes, Minshew, Geno Smith, Dak, those are kind of the most owned guys here. But like, I don't know, is weather shaping the way you guys are building lineups?
Like if people are going to be scared off of Geno and Mahomes because the weather, it's Roth saying the wind gusts aren't going to be like that great. I want to get to that game a little bit. And then Minshew, obviously they're in a dome. I feel like you said, everyone kind of takes in a weather into account. And this is why people are going to look at Daniel Jones. They're going to look at Kirk Cousins, and they're going to see Minshew at 4,800, and he's going to get steamed up. It's more for higher stakes, like $20. You don't have to worry about it. But in higher stakes, I could see him being around 18 to 20% in terms of ownership, maybe a little more. Is that a fair take?
Yeah.
I love that game too, Bob. So I'm with you. I think the KC Seattle game is a good game to for quarterbacks. I like Geno a ton. I don't know if I'll spend up at quarterback, but if Mahomes is really going to get no ownership, he'd be fine in tournaments too. Travis Kelce literally has like the nut matchup, so you could just pair him with him and McKinnon, who've been so good. But I don't know. I don't know if
that easy to pay 8,400 and then pay.
Not that easy. No,
and then
but
pay
I'm saying
8K.
It's the nut matchup.
Yeah,
saying it's the nut matchup. So if you want to play an unowned Mahomes, there's a reason why though he's going to be unowned because people like there's not obvious value plays, so it's harder. This is one of the reasons why you'll see these guys like Mahomes and Allen. Kirkwood saying it's crazy that they're not going to get ownership or Allen's not going to get ownership, but like there's a reason. Like it's the slate. There's no obvious chalk. There's no Zonovan Knights for these donkey projection guys to just click on and play. Like they don't have them, so they don't know what to do, and they're not just gonna pull out some dude like some like 3,500 guy that like maybe not could catch a bomb. Like they're not gonna do that, so they're just gonna play. It's safe. These safe floor guys, and that's how you can take advantage. I love these type of slates for tournaments too. I think they're like the best tournament slates too. When there's not the obvious chalk plays that these guys can just click on. They got to actually think a little bit.
I'm surprised I'm not seeing any Marquise Goodwin like hitting some stuff just because.
I hope he doesn't hit.
I hope he doesn't because I'm playing. If Geno to Marquise get these two stud running backs in your builds, that's the way to go.
I like the Seattle KC game for quarterbacks, and I like the Dallas game. I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to spend down at quarterback, and so it'll lead me to mainly Geno and Gardner Minshew. But I think those are the games that I'm going to focus on from the quarterback standpoint. I don't want to overcomplicate it.
Goodwin's questionable too.
He's Q-tag too?
Yep.
Wow. He would have been a nice play.
Yeah, he still may be, but
I think he's going to play, honestly. But
Geno looks significantly.
I just want to touch on one running back I forgot because I mentioned before DeAndre Swift. They pulling me back in. 8 carries, 9 targets last week. They against the Jets. Tough, good game it was, but tough matchup. They talked about that he was injured and that he's doing better now, and that was a reason why they were limiting him some. So I don't know. That's all I needed to hear. So if I need a cheap running back like 5,500, that's going to be my guy, DeAndre.
Is this man always injured? Like,
yes.
Holy crap! Is he always injured? It's insane.
Yep. I got no argument against that. But
5,500. If you think he's going to play more, yeah, you can argue with it.
Give me targets. All right. So who's your favorite in that top tier? I know you said you like the Seattle game. So are you going Geno? Is that your guy?
Yeah, Geno and Minshew are definitely going to be my two guys I have the most exposure to. And like I said, like other quarterbacks, I'm probably just going to target those games for quarterbacks. So those are the 4 quarterbacks that I would play. But Geno and Minshew, I think as of now, are the 2 guys I'm going to be most overweight on. Not going to play Fields or Allen in that game. Not going to play Kirk Cousins if he's going to be somewhat popular like that. Deshaun, no way. Daniel Jones with getting ownership, no thank you.
So I always say you can't play these country club kids, that's Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones. But like I want to play Daniel Jones. I was looking at it today. So Minnesota is just awful, right? Their defense, but like
I wanted to play him too, Kirkwood, if he wasn't going to be like owned. Yeah, I thought he was going to be unowned.
It's just the rushing upside that he has. In theory,
what's his points upside though?
30.
When have we seen 30?
week 11.
Outside of week 11, I'm just
Week-
trying to. I feel like we don't
week
see
7?
He doesn't hit ceilings as much as maybe he does. I guess I don't know. I feel like he never hits a ceiling.
So it's like
He
like
hits a lot more floors. He hits a lot
Yeah.
more floors.
Yeah, the problem is with him, you need a situation where like Saquon's not getting it done. They get like you need him to run. It can happen. He can get a big score. It's just we don't see it as much.
I'm with JSU on the Minshew Geno call. Those would probably be my two favorite. Tyler Huntley sitting there at 5,300. Everyone played him last week. He looked awful. But now he gets Atlanta. They don't rush the passer. There's more time there. I like Andrews. Always like Andrews. Feel like that's his only target. So he would be the third QB for me in that pool. I think you can make a case for Mahomes. Obviously, he's Mahomes. Great matchup. Tough to stack him with Kelsey because of the price and then the price of the running back position. But it is a differentiated construction. So I think those four are the most interesting for me.
Yeah, the answer is always Mahomes. It's like, I know it's tough to fit him, but like, so then you're going to have to like, maybe you playing with McKinnon, maybe you playing with Juju, maybe it's finally a Juju week, but they're just a passing offense. So, I mean, he had 35 fantasy points last week. He's first in passing yards, first in passing touchdowns by like a wide margin, and he does that on a lot less attempts. I mean, he's just ridiculous. It's just the problem is figuring out who the heck to pair him with.
And the pricing and the running back prices, because it's a CMC and Henry is just like.
That's why I'm going to pay down, I think. I just got to. I got to get some of these studs in my team.
I mean, Minshew is walking into like an incredible setup. Like, I mean, he's just got a team with like ridiculous offensive weapons now. Right?
I think you're right about that. I think Minshew's gonna. It's so tough because everyone's gonna see the same thing. Like it seems like you just play Minshew and move on. Minshew or Geno?
Should we play Minshew in the Dallas defense?
Like the Indy?
Yeah.
That would have been optimal, right? Correct on the 3-gamer.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I remember Bobby having a conversation with me about this like a couple years ago. He was like stacking or was it the same defense?
It was so DC, and it was like a $1,500 millionaire maker. I think he finished in 5th. This was like 4 years ago. And literally, like CMC, you could have played him at the time. CMC was crushing. Like it was just a low price defense at like 2,100 going against Kyle Allen. They like picked 6 Kyle Allen, and then CMC had like a day. So it was just like you could have made a case at that point to play like the low dollar defenses versus CMC.
Oh, low dollar always, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
why I said it. Cowboys are 2,600.
Dak stinks, but I'll probably go back
Cowboys
to Dak.
I think you could play the Cowboys D and Minshew. Why not? Like Cowboys get turnovers.
I think you can too, actually.
I'd like it better if it was a 3-gamer and there wasn't. So
yeah, no, this is like
right?
only
like
Millie Maker type play, but
I feel like it'd be better on a 3-game slate. But like I could see, I wouldn't be afraid to play them. Just they pick 6 and once. You're in a good spot.
Yep.
So my choices are it's going to be between Cousins, Minshew, Jones, Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, maybe Joe Burrow. Anyone interested? I know he's playing the Patriots, but I'm not worried about the Pats anymore.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think Burrow's in play. I liked Burrow a ton last week. Even the Patriots are just in shambles, so I have no issue going to Burrow, going to Chase, going to T. Higgins. Mixon, I probably have my qualms with because he's just absolutely – he never gets it done for me, but I think you can always get to Joe Burrow.
All right. Any out there plays you guys have, or are you guys kind of keeping it tight?
I think Huntley –
I'm keeping it tight.
For me, Huntley's probably the most out there play.
You're going. Like that all week they thought it was going to be Lamar, and then today, boom, it's Lamar's not playing. So
Yeah.
Huntley does not look good to me.
He didn't look good at all last week.
Tom Brady's not on the slate, so we got to play Tyler Huntley.
That isn't true. Like,
if you combine them, they're probably really be a probably really good player.
Atlanta defense, they're not.
Yeah, Atlanta should shoot. Which was crazy to me is the
I'm not.
show.
All right,
we were talking about.
I'll play Minshew and Gino. That's it.
The NFC South
There
is
we go,
still up
Bob.
for grabs, and like every team in there stinks. Tampa's 6-8.
Atlanta's going to run the football
top.
like 40 times. Baltimore's going to run. This is not a game where I think outside of running backs, you want anyone else.
It's a good point.
All right, let's move it over to a wide receiver. The cream of the crop, the top, Justin Jefferson, 9,300, expensive to get there. You're going to have to make your I don't think. Let me just even see. I don't even think it's possible to play him with CMC and Derrick Henry. Let's see if
it is according to Saber. I will say I'm looking at it now.
Oh yeah, you got to have all the Giants value, which is going to be that's probably going to be the cash route this week, huh? Yeah, but like other than that, in Minshew, you can make that happen. So it's going to have to be Jones or Minshew to make that work. And you're going to have to eat this chalky New York Giants wide receivers, Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins. I mean, it's
Mangone is like the biggest Isaiah Hodgins fan. Every time he scores, he sends a tweet.
I played him last showdown. He's not bad.
He's not bad, right?
Well, he is bad though. He's just everybody's bad on that team. All right, so Justin Jefferson, there's nothing bad to say. Good matchup, 24th against the pass are the Giants. I was looking today. He has 6 games with at least 130 receiving yards. He's first in targets, 158 targets on the season. He's first in receptions. He is first in receiving yards. He's in first in yard after catch. The only thing he's not in first in, he's in 6th, is touchdowns. But he's first in red zone targets. So it's like I feel like he's run bad with touchdowns. And there's like even more upside for this beast. So he's expensive. You got to pay for it. And this game, I'm telling you, this game could just be a slot. Everyone wants to play this game, but this could be Saquon versus Dalvin Cook. I'm telling you.
When they're favorites, it's usually Jefferson. Like everyone would think it would be Dalvin, but it's usually Jefferson that's having the big games in that situation.
But let me point you to 31st DVOA versus the run, the Giants.
Okay, no, I'm not. I'd prefer Jefferson, but I guess I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying, like that's a possible. This game could run out that way and leave a lot of people upset. I get it. Jefferson's the man. This game could also play good. Like they could bust out to a lead, and you gotta hope Daniel Jones can keep this team in it. And they're the pass catchers on the Giants are cheap. So I get it. It makes sense. But other than that, we got Tyler Lockett out. DK Metcalf is going to shoot up to the top of the list for a lot of people. 7,100 at KC. His numbers looked pretty good to me today. Like he's definitely had a disappointing season, at least to me in my eyes. But he's got a 26% target share, which is good. He's top 10 in air yards. He's second in red zone targets. So I'm like, the opportunity is there for him and has always been there this season. And now you just get a more condensed version. Yes, he'll get a lot more attention. It probably helps him more to have someone like Lockett out there with him. But, this guy's a beast. Other than that, the guys that are going to be out, DJ Moore at 5,500 versus Detroit. That's more of a salary play. And it's also, he's been pretty good with Sam Darnold. 2 of 3 solid games with Darnold. Only problem is Darnold isn't throwing a lot. It's almost like a Mariota situation, with the way that they're playing. But he's got a high target share, high air yard share, high end zone target share. So all the opportunity numbers all look really good for him. So he's in play, and he how did he? I feel like he did pretty well last week. I don't remember off the top of my head. And he wasn't. He went from being chalk, where he completely busted against Seattle with under 1 fantasy points, to nobody played him, and he put up 18 against Pitt in like a great matchup. Like, we should have been all over DJ Moore last week, all of us. No.
I mean, he was fine. My boy Rashid Shaheed put up the same number for 30.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, he's fine.
That's only because Keith Kirkwood's not out there. That's the problem. What'd you say, Bobby?
Keith Kirkwood.
How many Rashid laps? Detroit, we're gonna just take all the laps on the show, huh?
I mean, fucking God, Bobby. You know what? You can have your week. Give me a call like that, all right? When no one's on it.
Well, I like the Shaheed call. Shaheed call is legit. I'm with you.
Terry McLaurin's going to be popular, 6,200. The only problem there is, there's a couple of problems. There's Taylor Heineke, could be a problem, but does definitely key in on him. So also, he's got emerging threats now with Dotson back, is looking better. And this 49ers defense is like an all-time defense. They're ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with their defense, but one dude who has been good, honestly, if Terry McLaurin's going to be popular, I mean, this Jahan Dotson's 3,900. He's looked good, too. What's his ownership looking like? Is he going to be high?
I got him between 6 and 8%.
I mean, that's not bad, especially if Terry's going to get all the love in that game. It's a bad match. Like, I don't like picking on San Francisco, but if I'm going to do it, I'll do it with the cheap dude that, isn't going to get as much love or play. That's who I like. I'm gonna play a little Dotson. They're gonna play from behind. I like it.
All right.
What's
who else? Juju. He's 3,900, I think. He's 3,900. But he's also potentially the number 3. I mean, it's Curtis Samuel, McLaurin, and Dotson. So, things going to have to go your way.
But he's looked good, man. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
Real good.
He looked tied awesome. McLaurin in targets last week.
Yeah. 23 fantasy points against the Giants. Are you going to go back to Shaheed? No, you can't go back in the
weather game scares the crap out of it. Olave's out though, huh? So
yeah.
Wonder what they do. Like, is it just a Taysom game? Do they just pound Taysom?
Yeah.
Save Kamara a little bit, pound Taysom.
Kamara might be tough to tackle in that weather. Imagine trying to tackle Kamara with slippery like that.
God, I wish Taysom was cheaper on FanDuel.
I feel like it's going to be harder in that weather to tackle Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to stink tackling any of those dudes like Taysom and Derrick Henry.
Big boys.
It's tough in general.
Josh Allen may just run ridiculous.
That's what I think is going to happen in that Buffalo-Chicago game. Those two quarterbacks are just...
That game's going to be a mess. There's going to be people running, slipping all over the place.
All right. CeeDee Lamb, 7,500 against Philly. Just an elite target share, elite top-end receiver. Juju, 5,800 in the KC Seattle game. Juju disappointed last week. Oh, no, he didn't. He actually did better. He must have come on in the second half. 17 fantasy points. That's not so bad. 10 targets, 10 receptions. He's better than I thought.
He's the guy I never play. I don't know about you guys. I never play this guy. 10 targets, 11, 10 for 88, 9 for 74. Like, that's what you get with Juju. But if he gets in the end zone, he's going to be, he could be on a winner. It's just he needs to get in the end zone for that, upside in tournaments. But, 17's fine, I guess. 5,800.
What about all right, so let's talk about the cheap Giants guys. Richie James, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins. So Richie James 3,900, Isaiah Hodgins 4,100, Darius Slayton's 5,200. So that's where these projection slaves are all going to be headed this week.
JSU had the pivot, Dotson. 3,900.
Yeah. Like, if you make me choose one, though, I'll definitely choose Richie James. He's good, man. You want to say no one's good? He's good. He made some big catches for them last game, like big third down catches where they needed a first down. Like he's good. I like Richie James.
Marquise Good. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Marquise Goodwin or Hodgins for you?
Marquise Goodwin.
Me too.
If he plays, yeah, Marquise Goodwin for sure.
If
he doesn't play, Bobby, you're gonna be able to play a 3K dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be like
what's his name?
It's gonna
Penny Hart and young kid.
Yeah, Young and
Penny Hart.
Yeah.
You know who's shooting up the list of targets, getting his opportunity? Rookie, ridiculously talented, Drake the Snake. Bobby knows I recommend him every Grinders Live Sunday.
He's been good.
Drake
man.
London.
He's been good.
Yeah. Against Baltimore? I'm not scared of Baltimore.
He did get peppered last 2 games.
Yeah.
4,800 is a good price.
Yeah, it is.
With Ritter in there.
He's
now.
been there all year, but
I'll tell you who I'm not playing. I'm not playing Gallup. I just can't do it anymore.
This is the week too. It'll fucking happen where you just.
I know it's
nuts.
gonna happen. Yeah, of course.
I'm with you though. I can't play him either.
I think Gallup's the better Dallas receiver, like for the price, right? Like CD's 7,500. Within this construction, you can't pay that. So I think I'd be more inclined to get to Gallup.
I don't. The receiver spot is definitely where all the value's coming this week.
What's Gallup's
all
price?
The value's coming from receiver.
Gallup's cheap. He's 4,200.
Yeah, I could play Gallup.
I mean, maybe I could play Gallup. Oh God.
What about DeMarcus Robinson?
Then I looked at him, Bob.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of construction and the opportunity he's going to get in a dome.
I know.
The majority of the slates in a blizzard. What'd you say, DeMarcus Robinson?
Yeah, Duvernay's gone now. So they signed Sammy Watkins, but
but Tyler Huntley's their quarterback.
If it was Lamar,
if they had a quarterback who could throw.
I'm not going to go crazy on Lamar, but yeah, I mean,
if Lamar had just been targeting Robinson before he left, and then if you remove Duvernay, I felt like, but now Lamar's not playing, so
I feel like T. Higgins is going to put a whooping on New England.
I think that stack's like very interesting. They're gonna end up killing this Patriots team.
Bengals.
No one's gonna play them.
Yeah, no one will play the Bengals.
Oh boy, I got it. But it's got to be leverage off Derrick Henry.
Yeah, you got Treylon?
Yeah, he's back. He's practicing.
I love Treylon.
I love Treylon too. Malik Willis is the only reason why I didn't bring him up first, as my number one guy.
And you know what? They're gonna run so much clock. They're gonna slow that game down with Willis.
Yep.
And Henry.
Malik makes me worried about Henry.
You don't have to be worried about Henry.
Did you see what they did last time in Houston with Malik Willis?
You said that. They ran the ball, yeah.
I mean, they just ran over them. Like, they were just doing it. They were doing it on, 3rd and 10, Bobby. They weren't even throwing it. They were running it. It was wild.
Okay, so I'm more comfortable now that you say that. It's like if they stack the box, then that would where I'd have an issue.
They were trying to do everything. And,
they were trying to do it, and they couldn't do it. They're not going to be able to do it at Tennessee.
But Treylon is a good leverage play, though. I will say,
wide
receiver
not playing
Henry.
Gross. Wide receiver is pretty gross, I must say. It's not. There isn't there's a lot of pricing issues. AJ Brown feels overpriced at 8,100, but then again, you're paying 4,800 for Minshew if you're playing him probably, and Devontae Smith is fine at 6,600.
The other guy I'm gonna play some of is Quez. I'm gonna play some Quez Watkins in my Minshew stacks. He's 3,600. You can always
just load up everywhere else.
Yeah, you can always catch a bomb too. Look at those targets too. 5, 6, 5 and 6 last 4 games. Like, that's solid. I'll take that.
I like the Quez call.
All right, so I still don't feel like I have an answer. Like, how good do you guys feel about these Giants guys?
I mean, I don't feel great.
I'm fine
about
with
the
Richie
Giants.
James. Like, Richie James.
Yeah,
is
Richie
fine,
James.
Chuck. The Hodgins, I'd have issues with.
And then Daniel Bellinger at tight end is going to be popular. So
He's going to be popular too. Yeah, I don't like Daniel. Give me Noah Fant if he plays.
Oh, Fant. Yeah, he's FC. Everybody's questionable on the freaking Seahawks.
He's questionable too.
I mean, if he goes out, it would be all Will Dissly for 27.
And Parkinson or whatever.
That's true.
It would be those two guys.
Gino will go to Dissly in this game. I could see it.
All right, we're officially at tight end now. We've just officially we've transitioned.
We just transitioned. Yeah.
So TJ Hawkinson's going to be expensive. Going to be owned. I mean, 4,900 because he's in that game. Dallas Goedert is coming back. Has a connection with Minshew, I think. I don't know. I don't know how ready he is or not. I don't know. You guys hear anything about Goddard?
I mean, he was close to coming back last week, I think, and then they didn't activate him. So I would assume
he's good. I feel like if he plays, he's going to get steamed up just because he's attached to Minshew and he's 4,500.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me between him and TJ, I'll play him over TJ, but
he's likely good chalk too.
Why not just pull the other side, Dalton Schultz?
Schultz is fine, 4,200 for Schultz. The tough guy is getting up to Kelsey at 8K.
It's really tough to get up to Kelsey at 8K.
We don't need to. We just go to George Kittle without Debo.
I don't hate the Kittle, 5,300, and then not only Kittle, but Andrews is 5,500 versus.
I played him last week.
God, I can't play Andrews.
I can play him. I'll play him if you guys won't. But even though, just to make the argument, like 5,500 for Andrews, 5,300 for Kittle, and then we're seeing like chalk Slayton at 5,200. So who would you rally?
Well, yeah, I don't like Slayton at 5,200.
Just from a pricing range standpoint.
Atlanta, the fourth most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. So that's
we're playing some Andrews this week. That's what that means.
I just played him. I tilted him so badly, but all right, I'm back. I'll do it.
I'm back.
5,500 is easy. We can pay it.
Isaiah Likely was getting a little bit of love for a minute there. Like
he was. I've seen him throw to him a couple times.
It was like this. That was like all one drive, and then never again. But like.
I mean, at least he's 2,600.
Yeah.
And
and again, they lost another receipt. They just don't have anyone.
I could put Likely in large field stuff.
Who else? We got, Komet is still. We just play Chig, right?
If Malik Willis wasn't the quarterback, I could play. If Tannehill was the quarterback, I could play Chig.
Against
Malik Willis is killing me. I think Jordan Akins is okay on the other side against Tennessee. No Fant. Who else? Another guy, I played him a little bit like in Million Maker stuff, that Noah Gray for KC. I think you can play some of it, 2,600. Gets a good matchup against Seattle, gets decent run. Again, it's more of a large field tournament play, but he's 2,600 on the slate. Tight end's terrible. Even the popular tight ends you said, those are those aren't like, they shouldn't be popular really. Like Dallas Goedert maybe, I don't know. The other guys, no thank you. Like TJ Hawkinson's been terrible.
Noah Fant. If Noah Fant plays, he's a smash.
Especially if
3,400.
Especially
with Lockett out.
those guys out. Yeah.
I mean,
if
Lockett's
those
already
guys-
out. That's really
but like
all.
Goodwin and like if he's out too.
Yeah, but
like,
I don't even
they'll play
if
more
they all
2 and
play, I don't
3.
even care. I still think he smashes if he's like Lockett's all I needed.
Yeah. He's gonna play a lot if he's in.
All right, that's my guy. All right, Bobby, take it away for defense.
Yeah, so for me at defense this week, I know JSU has the Cowboys stored away. So for me, I'm going to go the Bears at 2K. Just going up against Allen, it's bad weather, 2K defense. I'll take it. I'll take the 2K Chicago Bears. Need the savings this week.
They did fine against Philly.
Yeah.
Only 1 sack, but man, I say I don't care about the Patriots defense anymore, but then I see them at 2,700, and it looks kind of nice to me. Why not just play the Eagles against Dak?
I don't hate that at all. Dak for 20. I'd rather that actually, to be perfectly
Little
honest.
Miles Sanders correlation.
Yeah, I like that.
I like
that
a lot
call
of
a
these
lot.
cheap Ds. I'm definitely paying down the defense, that's for sure.
All right. Favorite stacks.
I like the Saints D, by the way. I know no one asked me, but I like the Saints D.
Oh no, go ahead. Chime in with whatever you got.
No, I like the Saints and Cowboys are my 2 favorite down at the bottom. So,
All right.
All right, so we got Cowboys, Saints. I gave Pats.
You gave
I
Philly, dude. Philly's
gave
probably
Philly.
the best pick.
Bobby gave the Bears.
Philly's probably the best pick with Sanders.
I have Philly solid. I like Philly.
All right. Favorite stacks. Who's got one? Large field, single entry.
I really like Seattle. I like Geno. Lockett's out. Play some Metcalf. I really hope Marquise Goodwin plays 4,200. He's probably my favorite, like, cheap value receiver in that outside of Richie James in that like 3.9 to 4.2 range. So that's who I'm going to go with.
JSU.
Gardner Minshew with Dallas Goedert and Quez Watkins double stack.
I like
So
that.
this is the first time it's taken us 15 weeks, and I don't like anything here. Like
there's not a lot.
I don't like the fact that Kirk Cousins is so chalky. I don't like the fact that Daniel Jones is so chalky. I don't feel really comfortable with Gardner Minshew. I get it, but I don't really feel comfortable. I like Patrick Mahomes the best. I always like Mahomes. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Mahomes, and I'm going to say finally Juju gets some touchdowns. It runs good for once in touchdowns.
I like this call.
And then I'm going to say I'm going to play Miles Sanders with it with the Philly D, and then I'm going to play Noah Fant at tight end for a cheap tight end play, and then I'm going to be able to get in probably top 2. I'll probably be able to get Henry and CMC in that. No, I won't. I'll be able to get one of them at least.
And then you'll win the 4K Millie.
Let's go. Is a Millie this week? I don't like the Millie. That's the problem.
There's a $5.55
$5.55
Millie and a $20 Millie. There's a few Millies, so yeah.
I like the Juju call, though. I think we talk about the targets. I think he does get in the end zone this week.
Maybe McKinnon. Maybe I'll be a fish and follow McKinnon. Is it a fish? I don't know.
I don't know.
We only know.
I might play some MVS.
Yeah. How cheap is he?
He's 4,300. We need cheap dudes on the
price.
slate. We need cheap guys on the slate. So,
all right, that's a wrap. This has been RG RotoGrinders collabo with Run Pure Sports Tournament Takes podcast, week 16. We are almost done with the season, but we will be back for week 17 next week, and hopefully we'll all be a little bit richer by then. And anyway, no matter what, have an awesome holiday, everyone. Anyone who's suffering through, the people who like us, hate us, or whatever, as long as you listen.
Yeah.
have a happy holiday. We try, it's tough doing 17-week grind of, doing all these shows. We've got all these other commitments and everything. So we try. Some weeks are better than others, but we always try to bring it. And I tell you exactly who I'm playing, and my lineup's always the same there. But catch Bobby and I on Grinders Live. We're doing it Saturday morning this time for I think we're on
Saturday
there.
morning.
Yeah. Usually do it Sunday mornings. Catch JSU over at Run Pure Sports for his shows. And let's have a good week and a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is you celebrate. Have an awesome holiday. All right. Thank you.